Ladies and gentlemen, please join in welcoming to the ballroom the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Robert B. Neller, accompanied by his wife Darcy, and tonight's guest of honor, the 31st Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Charles C. Krulak, United States Marine Corps retired, accompanied by his wife Zandy. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the invocation, which will be delivered by the Chaplain of the Marine Corps, Rear Admiral Gregory N. Todd, Chaplain Corps, United States Navy.
Happy birthday, Marines. Let us pray. Eternal Father, in your graciousness, you have given us the great honor and privilege of serving as part of the 243-year legacy of the United States Marine Corps. We are grateful for the blessing of serving with comrades we respect and value, and with whom we share this calling. Lord, as our nation calls us to defend the cause of liberty, as our fellow Marines and sailors call us to stand with them through good times and challenges, allow us to hear your still small voice that calls us to be champions of the good. In a world that cries out for justice and righteousness, allow us to bear the title Marine, to be beacons for our world, following your path, trusting in your strength, and bringing your goodness to our world. Because of your kindness, Lord, we are bold to ask for your presence with us tonight. Bless our food, our time together, the camaraderie we share, and the mission you have called us to. And finally, dear Lord, be with our comrades who are on duty, underway, deployed, or standing the watch. Send your holy angels to protect them in their tasks, and grant them a joyful reunion with always faithful loved ones who wait for them at home. At your hands we commend our prayers, trusting in your love and mercy. Amen.
If you would direct your attention to the left of the stage, you will find an illuminated table that has been prepared in honor of our fallen comrades. It symbolizes the valiant sacrifices of our Marine Corps Navy team. Tonight, we pay special tribute to the members of our Marine Corps family who have been taken from us. Their sacrifices and the sacrifices of their families help preserve our nation's freedom and enable millions of our citizens to enjoy the American dream. We stand free today because of them. Ladies and gentlemen, please join in a moment of silence as we pause to honor those brave men and women who have given their lives in the service of our country. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and direct your attention to the video screens.
Think back to before you came into the Marine Corps. At some point, you saw or met a Marine, and you thought, do I have what it takes to be one of them? So you made the commitment. You accepted the challenge. In your first act of demonstrating faithfulness, you swore to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. As a Marine, for hours upon hours, focused on one thing. You worked hard, fighting, training, sweating, refining that warrior spirit, earning that EGA. Ensuring you'd be worthy of the title Marine. You joined your first unit. You worked at learning your MOS. You listened to the NCOs and other leaders as they led and shaped you. You received your first promotion and a second promotion. And with each promotion, your responsibilities increased, just like others' expectations of you. You were proud, but you knew that nothing was getting easier. Life, the mission, all of it. And then you deployed, and you were focused. The mission was clear. The challenges were there. You were there with your friends and the rest of the unit. The sorrow, the joy, all of it became real. Not just lessons and stories from NCOs. And then you came home. And you prepared to do it again and again. And maybe there were more promotions. Maybe you fell in love and started a family. And now the new Marines are looking to you for advice and leadership. And like those before you, you taught, you trained them, you led them well. And then seemingly overnight, there you are. And now this is you. Still a Marine. Continuing to demonstrate your faithfulness to our Corps, our country, and to each other. You are Semper Fidelis, Marine. Every Marine needs to see these wheat fields. On the 6th of June, 1918, Marines crossed the line of departure and attacked the west side of Belleau Wood, charging through this field through heavy enemy fire. They paid a high price for their bravery. But they fought and they won because they were Marines. Because they were led by people like Gunnery Sergeant Fred Stockham, a man who gave his gas mask to a fellow Marine, an action of self-sacrifice, which earned him the Medal of Honor. 1918 is a proud year for our Marine Corps. While Marines led the way in Belleau Wood, new Marines were stepping up at home. The first female Marines joined our ranks, bolstering our force during a time of war. For 100 years, they have served faithfully, helping win battles around the globe, including recent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. 100 years ago, they answered the nation's call, and they have been serving faithfully ever since. This dedication to victory is something we can trace back to every conflict in our history. It defines us. It defines warriors like Gunnery Sergeant John Canley, a leader who led from the front. With his Marines outnumbered, he pushed forward during the Battle of Way City, standing tall during firefights and throwing himself into harm's way to keep his fellow Marines safe.
The only thing I was doing was just responding. The Marines, the young Marines, it shows them that it's not do as I say, it's do as I do. And just being that close with them brings motivation to them.
During firefights, when we'd be all hugging Mother Earth, he'd be standing up directing us. And I think if you talk to every Alpha Company Marine, we're amazed that he was never shot.
He is individually and uniquely responsible for saving the lives of a lot of good young Marines.
My legacy was about taking care of Marines, because I don't think that there was anyone that was more demanding than Gunnery Sergeant Canley.
The
President of the United States, in the name of Congress, takes pleasure in awarding the Congressional Medal of Honor to Gunnery Sergeant John L. Canley, United States Marine Corps.
For 243 years, Marines have fought and won whenever and wherever our nation calls. In the harshest conditions, over the most brutal terrain, and against the most formidable enemies, Marines defend the ideals of freedom with grit and tenacity.
Though battlefields will change and capabilities evolve, history tells us that true victory comes from the individual Marine. A Marine with steeled resolve, the drive to overcome any obstacle, and the warrior spirit to fight and win against all odds.
That is how battles are won. It takes a steadfast faithfulness, semper fidelis, to corps, country, and each other.
Happy birthday, Marines.
And semper fidelis.
We begin our ceremony with a concert performed by the United States Marine Drum and Bugle Corps. The unit will open with a powerful and exciting work originally composed for brass band by Paul Lovett Cooper entitled Fire in the Blood. The concert will continue with a musical tribute to this great nation, America the Beautiful. The concert will close with one of this nation's most popular songs of freedom, Battle Hymn of the Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. is proud to present the Commandant Zone, the United States Marine Drum and Bugle Corps. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, honored and distinguished guests, friends, and fellow Marines, welcome and happy birthday. This evening we have gathered to celebrate the founding of our Marine Corps and to pay tribute to the few good men and women, as well as the silent regiments of yesteryear who shaped our Corps' proud history. We hope our guests will sense the tremendous pride we Marines feel tonight as we collectively reminisce on 243 years of heritage and proudly look to the future of our Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have as our guest of honor this evening the 31st Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Charles C. Krulak, United States Marine Corps, retired. Please rise for honors to General Krulak. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to introduce the baritone vocalist of the President's Own United States Marine Band, Master Sergeant Kevin Benier, who will sing our national anthem.
early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand by for the presentation of the Marine Corps birthday cake. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. On 1 November 1921, the 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, Lieutenant General John A. Lejeune, directed that a reminder of the honorable service of the Corps be published by every command to all Marines around the globe on the birthday of the Corps. Since that day, Marines have continued to distinguish themselves on many battlefields and foreign shores in war and peace. On this birthday of the Corps, therefore, in compliance with the will of our 13th Commandant, Article 38 of the Marine Corps Manual, edition of 1921, is republished as follows.
On November 10,
1775, a Corps of Marines was created by a resolution of the Continental Congress. Since that date, many thousand men have borne the name Marine. In memory of them, it is fitting that we who are Marines should commemorate the birthday of our Corps by calling to mind the glories of its long and illustrious history. The record of our Corps is one which will bear comparison with that of the most famous military organizations in the world's history. During 90 of the 146 years of its existence, the Marine Corps has been in action against the nation's foes. From the Battle of Trenton to the Argonne, Marines have won foremost honors in war, and in the long eras of tranquility at home, generation after generation of Marines have grown gray in war in both hemispheres and in every corner of the 7 seas, that our country and its citizens might enjoy peace and security. In every battle and skirmish since the birth of our Corps, Marines have acquitted themselves with the greatest distinction, winning new honors on each occasion until the term Marine has come to signify all that is highest in military efficiency and soldierly virtue. This high name of distinction and soldierly repute we who are Marines today have received from those who preceded us in the Corps. With it, we also receive from them the eternal spirit which has animated our Corps from generation to generation and has been the distinguishing mark of Marines in every age. So long as that spirit continues to flourish, Marines will be found equal to every emergency in the future as they have been in the past. And the men of our nation will regard us as worthy successors to the long line of illustrious men who served as soldiers of the sea since the founding of our Corps.
This timeless and inspiring message of our 13th Commandant has left its mark in the hearts and minds of Marines. By deed and act from Belleau Wood to the Argonne, from Guadalcanal to Iwo Jima, from Incheon to the Korean Armistice, in interventions from Lebanon to the Dominican Republic, from the opening battles in Vietnam to Grenada, Panama, and Kuwait, and from operations in Somalia and Kosovo to those in Iraq and Afghanistan, Marines have continued to epitomize those qualities which are their legacy. The success they have achieved in combat and the faith they have borne in peace will endure. The Commandant and our many friends have added their hearty praise and congratulations on this, our 243rd birthday. The Marine Corps birthday cake cutting ceremony is important to all Marines, as it is an annual renewal of each Marine's commitment to the Corps and the Corps' commitment to our nation's quest for peace and freedom worldwide. The birthday cake is traditionally cut with the Mameluke sword, as a reminder that we are a band of warriors committed to carrying the sword so that our nation may live in peace. As is our custom, General Neller will now present the first piece of cake to our guest of honor, General Krulak. By tradition, the next piece of cake is presented to the oldest Marine in attendance as a sign of honor and respect accorded to experience and seniority. This evening, our oldest Marine enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1942. He was one of the 20,000 African-American Marines from 1942 to 1949 who received their basic training at a segregated facility known as Camp Montford Point, near Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune in Jacksonville, North Carolina. A native of Manassas, Virginia, he celebrated his 94th birthday just a few months ago, having been born on 14 July 1924. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Master Gunnery Sergeant Carol Braxton, United States Marine Corps retired. For 243 years, our experienced Marines have nurtured and led young Marines to fill our ranks and renew our Corps. As the oldest Marine, Master Gunnery Sergeant Braxton will now pass the piece of cake to the youngest Marine, symbolizing the passing of wisdom, knowledge, and experience, as well as trust and confidence in those who will carry on our Marine Corps traditions in the future. This evening, our youngest Marine is Second Lieutenant Austin T. Brownfield, who graduated from Gonzaga University with a bachelor's degree in political science. He completed Officer Candidate School on 12 August 2017 and was commissioned on 11 May 2018. A native of Renton, Washington, Second Lieutenant Brownfield was born on 7 May 1998. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise or remain standing for the retirement of the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Robert B. Neller.
That was a really big cake. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight as we celebrate our 243rd birthday. These events, as you know, just don't happen. There's a lot of people doing security, doing the coordination, doing the reservations, doing the tables, people in offices around the building and in the headquarters. So I'd ask you to just join me in a round of applause for everybody who has put forth the effort. I'd also like to recognize the Secretary of the Navy, the Honorable Richard Spencer, and his wife Polly is here. Sir. And a Marine veteran, Congressman Mike Bose, sir, thank you for being here with us tonight. And we've got a lot of veterans here. In the video, we talked, the year 2018 there's a lot of history. 100 years ago, Marines fought in World War I, and we celebrate this weekend the armistice that was supposed to end the war, the peace that ended all wars. 50 years ago, you saw Sergeant Major Canley with Alpha 11 and the other Marines that fought in the Battle of Way and the Tet Offensive. 14 years ago, this week, Marines had just begun the fighting in Fallujah. And it doesn't seem like it was 14 years. So when we celebrate our birthday, as the video showed us, we talk about three things. We talk about the past, we talk about what's going on today, and we talk about the future. So it's important to remember our past, and we have many veterans here today. Those no longer wear the uniform on a day-to-day basis, and I'd ask all of them to stand up so they could be recognized. All our vets. So the older Marines know this, but for the younger Marines here, for those Marines that served before, particularly those that served in Vietnam, the reason that when we walk through the airport or we meet people in uniform and they find out we're in the service, they say thank you for your service, because when they came home, they didn't get that. And they said that would never happen again. So if you get a chance to make your manners on a Vietnam vet tonight, please tell them thanks and welcome home. So we remember our past, and the video reminds us of some places long ago. We all have history, and we remember the people that were there. We remember the smells, the sounds, the feel, those that we were there with and those that are no longer with us. And I'd ask you to take a moment tonight to talk about them, or at least remember them in your hearts and your minds. Today, our Marine Corps is about 186,000, and we have about right today at 45,000 deployed. We have a large exercise that just ended in Norway, and we continue to have Marines in every corners of the earth, in every continent except Antarctica. And we're busy, we're forward deployed, and we're doing really well, and the combatant commanders and those that we support appreciative of our efforts. And that's great. Today, that's great, but the real thing about our birthday is to commit to the future. It's about tomorrow. And as our guest of honor's father wrote in a book called First to Fight, the United States doesn't need a Marine Corps, but they want a Marine Corps. And they want a Marine Corps because when the nation calls, when the wolf is at the door, we show up and we win. And that's got to be the way it is. It can never be any other way. And as long as we're worthy of that legacy, as long as we are the Marine Corps that our nation wants and believes and needs, then we'll continue to be here. But That's what this birthday is about, a recommitment to that. So when we were considering a guest of honor, since I've been in this office, I think it was important to have as a guest of honor somebody who has been a Marine. And we've asked former commandants and the Secretary of the Navy to be our guest of honor. And I've been trying to get availability for General Krulak for a long time, because I think all of us aspire as Marines, when we serve our time, is that we want to make a difference. And this officer doesn't have to worry about that, because he set a course for us during his time as the commandant about 3-block war, strategic corporal, different organizational structures. He got us a lot of gear. I used to get on my knees at 29 Palms when it would be snowing out there, and I climb in that bivy sack, and I go, God bless General Krulak, because I'm going to be able to sleep tonight, and I'm not going to be wet when I wake up in the morning. I never told you that, sir, but thanks. That was really... It's the little things. It's the little things. That bivy sack, I just rubbed it on my cheek, and it was like, it was all good. Some of you know what I'm talking about. So it is our honor and privilege tonight to have as our guest of honor on our birthday here in the city of Washington, a man who led our Corps for 4 years, or served in combat, who gave us thoughts and ideas that still have validity today, took us through the fights the last 18 years, and left his mark on our Corps, not just then, but still today. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Charles Krulak.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please sit down, sit down. Thank you very much. Thank you. I can't tell you what an honor it is for Zandy and me to be here tonight. Those Marines in the room know that we don't take the word honor lightly. So let me just say it again. It is a great honor to be here tonight. The last time I was on this floor in this very hotel, the guest of honor was Lieutenant General Victor H. Brute Krulak. And it was a very special night, but it is no more special than what we see here this evening. At that night, our theme was the twin touchstones of our Corps. The touchstone of valor, warfighting, and the touchstone of values of which America looks to us and holds so dear. When I think about the touchstone of valor, I'm automatically drawn back to that iconic battle that our Commandant put up on the screen. Out of the crucible of the woods at Belleau and out of the crucible of those wheat fields emerged what is today our modern-day Marine Corps. Before Belleau Wood, we were thought of as a gendarmerie. We never fought at a level higher than a battalion, and in very, at that time, major, but now pretty minor battles. After Belleau Wood, we were considered one of the world's finest fighting organizations, and that reputation has stuck with us and been built upon by hundreds and hundreds of battles that we fought and won over our storied history. So that today, the American people understand the touchstone of valor. They believe in it. They know that when the whistle blows, their Marine Corps are going to don their helmets, they're going to put on their flak jackets, they're going to grab a weapon, and they're going to march to the sound of the guns and the smell of cordite, and they are going to fight, and they are going to win. The American people know that. The American people know that. And they respect it, and they respect it very deeply. But what the American people cherish, what they cherish is our values. They believe that the Marine Corps is the epitome of all that is good about America and all that is good about American youth. That we're a keeper of a flame, and that flame is a value system, and that value system stands for everything. It is sometimes attacked. We sometimes go astray a little bit. But we always come back to our core values of honor, courage, and commitment. And the American people know that. And if I were a poet, which I'm not, and I was writing about the Marine Corps, I'd say that the Marine Corps was like Caesar's 10th Legion, standing at the gates of Rome, defending the Republic. Or the 300 Spartans at the gates of fire at Thermopylae, standing for their nation state. That's how, in their hearts, the American people think of us and the values that we hold so dear of honor, courage, and commitment. Now, I know, because I was an action officer at Headquarters Marine Corps, that there are probably some in the audience right now saying, well, you know, General, I don't feel like I'm part of Caesar's 10th Legion. And I don't feel like I'm a Spartan at the gates of fire. I'm working my tail off 10 or 11 hours a day, working hard issues, writing papers, answering questions, going out and trying to get that extra dollar from the Secretary of the Navy. And then at the end of that 11-hour day, you get in the car and you're doing a round trip for 3 hours a day. And if you're lucky, on the weekend, you actually get to be with your family. But during that time, what happens? You get a phone call from a friend in the FMF, or a friend at school, or a friend at a posting station, and they're telling you all the great things they're doing. Been there, done that, and got the T-shirt. Except I discovered something. I really discovered something. That the fight within the Beltway is every bit as important as the fight outside the Beltway. And don't ever forget it. Your attention to duty, your diligence, your resilience goes to meet a requirement laid upon us by the second session of the 82nd Congress of this great country of ours, where the Congress 66 years ago wrote the Marine Corps into law. They wrote our structure into law, and they actually put, I don't even know most people understand this, but they put a head strength cap on us. A head strength cap on us. But what they really did was they wrote in that conference language, the reason they have a Corps is because we need a force that is most ready when the nation is least ready. Most ready when the nation is least ready. Now, people think we actually wrote that. We didn't. Honest to God, you can look, second session, 82nd Congress, conference report. The Congress wrote it. And we belong to the Congress. And we always look to the Congress, unabashedly. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk to the spouses. You all are the best kept secret in the Marine Corps. You, seriously, you all, you all are the combat multipliers. Without you, your Marine could do very little. We don't look to you as your service. We look to you as your sacrifice. To hell with service. Your sacrifice enables our Marines to go in harm's way. And God bless you. My wife and I, this is not just some old commandant standing up on a stage giving you platitudes. My wife and I love you. And we spent 4 years thinking about the family. And I know your commandant, and I know his lady are doing the same thing. So if you ever think for a minute that you aren't appreciated, please think again. You are the combat multiplier. Finally, I know I'm taking a lot of time. Finally, I mentioned I was on the stage with my dad. And my dad was a real believer in the touchstone of valor and the touchstone of values. And in the book, First to Fight, he laid out a thesis that I'm going to read it to you. It just take a very short time. But I want you to think about what he's saying, because they hold true today and they are going to hold true tomorrow. Permit me to read this. We exist today. We flourish today, not because of who we know we are or what we know we can do, but because of what the grassroots of our country believes we are and believes we can do. The American people believe that Marines are downright good for the country, that Marines are forms of a masters of an unfailing alchemy which converts unoriented youth into proud, self-reliant, stable citizens. Citizens into whose hands the nation's affairs may safely be entrusted. And likewise, should the people ever lose that conviction as a result of our failure to meet their high, almost spiritual standards, the Marine Corps will quickly disappear. Likewise, should the people ever lose that conviction as a result of our failure to meet their high, almost spiritual standards, the Marine Corps will quickly disappear. You all, the people in this room, will ensure that our precious Corps and the touchstone of valor and the touchstone of value will not cease, and the Marine Corps will never disappear. Thank you much. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Commandant and the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps would like every guest in the ballroom to join Master Sergeant Benier as he leads us in the singing of all 3 verses of the Marines hymn.
Sing with us, Marines. Here we go. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. Our flags unfurled to every breeze, from dawn to setting sun. We have fought in every clime and place where we could take a gun. In the snow of far off northern lands and in sunny tropic scenes, you will find us always on the job, the United States Marines. Here's health to you and to our corps, which we are proud to serve. In many a stripe we fought for life and never lost our nerve. If the Army and the Navy ever look on heaven's scenes, they will find the streets are guarded by United States Marine. Hoorah!
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Dinner will be served shortly. Dance music will begin following dinner, featuring the music of DJ Manny V. Thank you for your attendance this evening. Semper Fidelis, and happy birthday, Marines.